Marathon just had its gameplay reveal, and after seeing a ton of online discourse on both Twitter and Reddit, and YouTube comments and all this stuff, it is very apparent that a lot of people don't know what Marathon is. But not only that, they don't know what an extraction shooter is. And if you are somebody who is in the same boat, hasn't played an extraction shooter, then stick around, I'm going to explain. And if you are somebody who's played extraction shooters, you can probably stick around and offer input at the end of the video, but you probably know the ropes, you probably know what I'm talking about, and have the same frustration. So you're free to leave, you're probably not going to learn anything else new. For those of you who do not know what Marathon is and are here purely to hate watch, first of all, thank you for the engagement boost. But second of all, I think you're probably in the wrong here if what you're doing is comparing it to something like Concord, which is a hero shooter. That is not what Marathon is. Just because you have a class system and there's characters attached to this class system does not mean that it is a hero shooter. A hero shooter is fundamentally built on the idea of the heroes and their kits playing the biggest role. In fact, that's all there is to them, is their kits. And there's a counterplay system, and they're pit against other people in an arena type fashion. Again, not what an extraction shooter is. But let's get into the thick of it. First of all, what are games that are extraction shooters? Escape from Tarkov, Hunt Showdown, Gray Zone Warfare, the Cycle Frontier, if people remember that one. That one got recently shut down, but the Cycle Frontier is actually probably the closest comparison we can make to what Marathon is actually going to be at launch. And then Delta Force is also one of the newer ones that came out and is free to play. What are games that are not extraction shooters? Again, extraction shooters are not battle royales, they are not hero shooters, they are not arena shooters. So games like Apex Legends, I see a lot of people compare it to that. Not like Apex Legends. It's not like Fortnite. It's not like Helldivers. It's not like Deep Rock Galactic. Just because a game has a feature where you go in and go out does not mean it is an extract shooter. This is a specific type of genre. Now, what can you expect from the genre? What should you expect when you play an extract shooter? Well, it should be pretty slow paced. A lot of people want Marathon to be a fast paced movement tech, moving like a crackhead type movement. And that's fine. That's an okay preference to have when it's not an extract shooter. If you're playing an arena shooter, if you're playing a battle royale, totally understand why you'd want those things. Those things are not inherently bad in a game. But in an extraction shooter, you are not supposed to have a power fantasy. You're supposed to be taking things rather slowly, thinking things through, trying not to stand out. People are going to be walking around the map, and the second you get into a fight with AI, like if you get into a fight with ads, if you get into a fight with other people are going to hear that, and they're going to be gunning for you. On top of that, you're supposed to have a lot of resource management. You're not just going to be able to scoop up everything you see. A lot of times it's whether you can hold it versus how heavy is it. Can you afford to bring this out? Do you have to leave it? Do you have to make room? Do you have to drop other loot to bring this out? Do you have to drop weapons or gear to bring this out to make room for it? Things like that play a big role here as well. Knowing when to pick your fights. Again, I see a lot of discourse surrounding this game and how it needs to have PvE elements. It's always forced PvP. Yes, inherently extraction shooters are PvP based. The focus is around that. But again, it's not an arena shooter. It's not some kind of competitive shooter. What it is a game that is basically completely in the hands of the player to freestyle however they want. You do not need to fight players. You can go in without a weapon and come out with a bag of loot if you play your cards right. And yeah, there is a level of luck to it if you don't know your way around the maps. You can't always tell where people are going to be, but you can use everything you've learned that you've culminated from day one to whatever day you're at in your playthrough to have the knowledge to avoid gunfights entirely. Or, as I personally like to have it, I hate getting into gunfights in extraction shooters. Not because it's not fun, but just because that's when the danger hits. That's when I could lose my life. And I think it's a lot more rewarding to drop 3 players before a gunfight can break out. I'm not in there to have a fair fight with you. Most extraction shooters are not looking for a fair fight, and the player base reflects that as well. You get plenty of people who go sprinting around, clomping around with their heavy-ass footsteps, making noise everywhere they go, and then they call people campers because they turn the corner and get blasted. Sorry, that's the name of the game in an extraction shooter. You don't play it like any other shooter. And The reason I have to bring this up is because not many people have played extraction shooters. It's a very niche genre. Not many of you watching this video have probably played Escape from Tarkov, especially if you don't have a PC. Extraction shooters are native almost entirely to PC, and Marathon is going to be one of a very small few who are going to be on console. So a lot of people probably expect this game to be something it isn't. Also, quick interjection from me in post, but I want to clarify that I'm not saying Marathon's going to be a perfect extraction shooter, or even a good one, because we know very little about it right now. All I'm saying is that this game markets itself as an extraction shooter. So this video is explaining to you what an extraction shooter is, so you can better gauge what you're getting yourself into. Personally, I think the game looks fun. I have plenty of concerns though. I'm not trying to sell you on the game here, I'm just spreading information because I see way too many people treating this game like a battle royale or hero shooter and applying the same types of criticisms from one genre to another when it doesn't make sense to do so. But this game should be something where your life is valued. You're gonna watch a gameplay of this in the first week, I'd imagine, and you're gonna see people that play Apex and stuff say this game is trash because they can't, do bunny hops across the map, and if they do, they're going to get sniped, and they're going to say it's a game full of campers, it's a game that promotes camping. That's true. That's true. That's what an extraction shooter is, and people wear that badge proudly. That is what we want. We want games where you are punished for playing like an idiot. That's not always inherently a bad thing in other types of games, by the way. I'm not saying if you like playing fast-paced in other games, you're an idiot. I'm saying that is something you do, and you're going to get punished for in an extraction shooter. Again, you do not have to engage at all. If you see a group of 3 people walking by, in your head, you're like, oh, I'm going to lose that fight, then don't fight. Simple as that. Hide. Hide. Reposition. Do not let them see you. If one of them does see you, you either bolt, make it not worth their while to chase you across the map, potentially running into enemy AI or other players. You can turn a fight on its head in an extraction shooter. And it's not like a battle royale. Sure, you can reposition, lead people into different fights in an extraction shooter, in a battle royale, I mean. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to fight them. In an extraction shooter, no. You don't have to fire a bullet. You can come out just from scavenging dead corpses if you want. If you're a bad streak, you keep losing every gunfight you take, you've lost all your loot, that can all change in an instant. You can drop in, witness a gunfight between 3 people, let them pick up, you get the scraps, boom, you've got money. Boom, you've got a loadout. You can sell that stuff as soon as you get out, get back up on your feet, build yourself back up again, get yourself the big guns, and go in. That is the beauty of an extraction shooter. And not many people realize this. I've also seen plenty of complaints, which is crazy to me, about there only being 3 maps at launch. Guys, please, I understand that does not sound like a lot if it's Call of Duty or Destiny PvP. Or even like a battle royale. Just kidding. A battle royale having 3 maps at launch. When's the last time you've seen that? Genuinely. Yeah, no, you haven't. You haven't seen that ever. Never before has there been a battle royale with 3 maps at launch. These maps are supposed to be way more detailed. Extraction shooters hold themselves to a higher standard. Not only are they just an arena for you to run around in with randomly generated loot that you use. Now, there's loot that you can sell. You're not looking to pick up a gun in every corner. Maybe you're looking to find, I don't know, a premium pack of cigarettes, for instance, that sells for a decent bit. Maybe you find a laptop with documents on it. Boom, that sells for like 3 times the current value of your stash. The loot is important, and the loot is what drives PvP. Again, if you're playing solo, right, and you see a squad, maybe that squad's geared up, maybe they're looking for a fight. So they're going to head to that area with a lot of loot. They're expecting to see other people go for that loot. They're like, I want that laptop with the documents. I want to make like $20,000 off of it, or whatever the currency is going to be in Marathon. They're probably going to go there. As a solo player, you have to be able to gauge yourself and your enemies. If you think you can take all 3 of those players, which is very possible, by the way, because you don't need to adhere to standard, you don't need to conform to like a standard method of fighting players in extraction shooters. You can kill one guy, run across the map, never see those guys again. You can just like ruin their day by killing one of their friends. You can do hit and run. You can play the long game as a solo player. Or just find out where they're going, find out what they're going to do. If they have proximity chat, which Marathon doesn't have, please keep pushing for proximity chat to come back, because proximity chat's pretty fun. If they're, talking in proximity chat and they're like, hey, let's head to the lily pond to extract or whatever, it's going to be in Marathon. Maybe you just get a nice line of sight on like a nice no man's land area. Maybe you set up behind like a cliff, maybe on top of a cliff even. You're like, all right, they're definitely going to have to run across this like 50-meter stretch of open land to get through here. Maybe that's when you start picking them off, You just set up a nice trap for them. Yeah, it's camping. Yeah, it's scummy. It's rat gameplay. That's what drives these games. That's the appeal. I play Tarkov. I do not W key. I don't want to get into a fight. I don't want a fair fight. I just want to kill them and get the loot. That's the thrill for me and for many extraction shooter players. So please understand that this is what the game's going to be like. Okay? This is what you're signing up for. If you have not played an extraction shooter before, you don't know what this game's going to be like. And there's no way for you to prepare for it either, because no other game on the market is like an extraction shooter. You have to play an extraction shooter to know what an extraction shooter is. Again, I do want to say that I'm not defending Marathon, and in fact, I'll probably make a video about what I'm excited about and what I'm concerned for with this game, and spoilers, I'm concerned about a lot more things than I'm excited for, because there's a lot of things that may not work in an extraction shooter that I'm seeing from all the content out about it right now. I do think it's disingenuous for people to critique this game as if it's an arena shooter or a hero shooter or a battle royale though, because I see people complain about the gameplay looking slow or not having good movement tech, for example, and that's a positive for an extraction shooter in my opinion. Yet people hold it against the game as a negative, which doesn't make sense to me. That's the point of this video. So hopefully when you see criticisms, you can properly discern whether the criticism makes sense or not, when you have the proper context of what type of genre this is. I've also seen people saying it's a bad idea to lose all your loot when you die, and that take is just insane, because that's the entire point of an extraction shooter. It's the thrill that you could lose it all in an instant, and it's what gives your loot value. Saying you don't want your loot to be lost in an extraction shooter is like saying you don't want your ice cream to taste sweet. It just doesn't make sense. And people who like ice cream want it to be sweet, just the same as people who like extraction shooters want the risk of your loot being lost to be in the game. On top of all that though, I do want this game to succeed. You'd have to be a huge asshole to pray for any game's downfall. It's one thing to point out a game's flaws, and it's another to actively, maliciously hope for its downfall. If the game isn't for you, then it isn't for you, and that's fine. It really is. If this game does well though, it will provide competition in the extraction shooter genre, something that has been absent for years, and force the other games to improve as well. So if you're a fan of the genre at all, you should be hoping this game is a success. Plus, who doesn't want to play other fun games? One negative thing I can say for certain, however, is the release date. Releasing on the same day as Borderlands 4 is insane, and as much as I want to play this game and experience an extraction shooter with that crisp, top-of-the-line Bungie gunplay, there's just no way I'm going to play this over Borderlands 4 when forced to choose. I probably won't play this for weeks after its initial release, and I feel as if I can't be the only person in that boat. It just doesn't seem like a smart move for them. But yeah, hopefully this game is great. I'm excited to track its development further, and thank you all for watching. If you found this video helpful, a like would be appreciated, and if you think it sucked and I'm an idiot that should never speak on such topics again, leave a dislike. And as always, I hope you have a great day. I'm Haderaxe, signing out. Peace.